So let's do Stronger, which is a film starring it is Gyllenhaal, isn't it? We do this every time. Gyllenhaal. I always want to say Gyllenhaal, but Gyllenhaal plays Jeff Bauman, the young Bostonian who lost his legs in the 2013 marathon bombing and became a symbol of the Boston Strong mantra. So it's a true story, and when we first meet Jeff, he's just broken up with his girlfriend Erin, played by Tanya Maslany, with whom he appears to have broken up many times before. And this time she appears to have finally had enough of him. And the suggestion is that it's because he's unreliable and he doesn't show up, and he's not the person that she needs him to be. And so he's desperate to demonstrate to her that he is the kind of person that will show up, and she says that she's going to run the marathon. So in order to kind of attempt to win her back, he goes to the marathon holding a sign that, sort of a supportive sign. So he's in exactly the wrong place at exactly the wrong time when this terrible atrocity strikes. She then comes to visit him in hospital after he miraculously survives. And this is the conversation afterwards.
Should have seen the sign I made for you.
What did it say?
Had like 3D letters and everything. Hey.
I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
I'm so sorry.
Hey. Don't say that. You don't owe me anything.
There have been films that have dealt with this, very recent event before. They have looked in different directions. In the case of this, what's interesting about it is that it's directed by David Gordon Green, and it's fairly reflective, and it concentrates very much on Jeff Bauman's own journey, excuse me, and what his own personal experience is and what then happens to him. Because obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you'll know that the story is it's to do with his recovery, but it's also to do with him finding himself suddenly in a position in which he is the center of this attention, that this life-changing event has happened to him, that he has survived miraculously. Moreover, he has actually seen one of the bombers, and he's able almost immediately to say one of the first things he writes is, "I saw get the authorities," and he's therefore involved in that. But the film isn't interested in them; it's interested in him, and it's interested in his family, and it's interested in their story, and so that I think is very engaging because it's very clear about what its focus is. And Gyllenhaal gives, a typically committed performance in the lead role as somebody who is swinging between resentment and resolution, and also finding themselves suddenly the center of attention in which they are being asked to carry a huge weight. The weight that they're being asked to carry is the weight of survival, of defiance, of becoming a symbol of the, Boston Strong mantra. And he's brought to sporting events and brought out in front of crowds, and people want to meet him and people want to take photographs of him. Meanwhile, he's still dealing with, all the things that he was dealing with before, with the relationship with his girlfriend, what the future of his life is. And the film is very very clear not to portray some kind of, two-dimensional hero. It's not just, what you might think about overcoming incredible odds, which is absolutely part of the story. But it's to do with wrestling with the position that he finds himself in. And it's also, for me, was centrally about their relationship, about the way in which their relationship was built on everything that had happened around it, the way in which you got a sense of the history of their relationship and the future of their relationship. And I absolutely believed in the portrayals of those two characters, and I believed in what was happening to them as I was watching it play out on screen. There's a certain kind of movie which is, the sort of the surging score, the triumph over adversity film, which can sometimes feel very manipulative. In the case of this, it worked for me. I mean, I was very moved. It is a moving story. There's no question about it. There are many moments in which you're moved to tears. There are many moments of laughter in it as well. But it felt honest. It felt like what it was. It wasn't being exploitative. It wasn't it wasn't trying to turn this into a melodrama. What it was trying to do was to look honestly at a really difficult situation and to turn that into a drama which made sense to the audience. It's helped by some terrific supporting performances. Miranda Richardson plays Jeff's mum, Patty, and is great. I mean, I love Miranda Richardson anyway, but it's a really sort of full-on Miranda Richardson performance, not what you think of as, somebody who's immediately sympathetic, somebody who's tough, and somebody who smokes and drinks and, speaks their own mind and speaks it in quite a harsh way and can be overbearing and can be cantankerous. And so whilst you're dealing with a genre of film which often falls back on formulae, and there's nothing here that you think of as breaking the cinematic mold. It's not a film that reimagines the way in which this kind of story can be told. It's not a film which is structurally adventurous or complex. But what it is well made, and it works. It works in as much as you become involved in the story, you become involved with the characters, I always say this thing about I hate using that phrase, but you go on a journey with them, because that is the sort of the thing that you're always told. But I did feel whilst watching it that you do see the journey but the two central characters go through, and it was moving and it was convincing, and I thought the performances felt very sort of sturdy and heartfelt, and the film itself had a tone of honesty which you need if you're going to make a film about this sort of event. You need to do it from an honest position rather than anything that feels that you're exploiting it, or anything that feels that you're addressing recent history and turning it into something which is saleable to the public. So I was surprisingly touched by it, and I thought it wasn't quite the film that I imagined it to be, and I was glad that was the case. And really, really good performances. And I did think it had a really decent heart.